What's up, Jays Nation? Welcome back to the channel where we break down everything happening with our Toronto Blue Jays. Before we get into today's massive story, hit that subscribe button right now because we're bringing you daily updates that no other channel covers this way. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next because this could change everything about how the Jays compete in 2025. All right, let's get right into it. The Blue Jays front office just created one of those rare problems that every team wishes they had. We're talking about a legitimate starting pitching surplus, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this might be the deepest rotation Toronto has assembled in over a decade. The signings of Dylan Cease and KBO MVP Cody Povich have completely shifted the landscape, and now the organization is sitting on more quality arms than they have spots available. This is the kind of depth that wins divisions, but it's also the kind that forces some really tough decisions. Let me paint the picture for you. Before Cease and Povich even arrived, Toronto already had a solid foundation with Kevin Gausman, who's been an absolute workhorse, Shane Bieber coming back from injury, Jose Barrios, who's been eating innings for years, and Bowden Francis, who showed legitimate promise last season. Then you add Cease, who's a legitimate ace-level talent when he's on, and Povich, whose contract basically guarantees him a rotation spot. Suddenly you're looking at 6 or 7 guys who all have legitimate cases to be in that opening day rotation. But it goes even deeper than that. Yusei Kikuchi was part of the conversation before he moved on, but now you've got guys like Yariel Rodriguez who can swing between starting and relieving, giving the team flexibility most clubs would kill for. Then there's Ricky Tiedemann, who's working his way back from Tommy John surgery and represents one of the highest ceiling prospects in the entire organization. The kid has electric stuff, and once he's fully healthy, he's going to demand a spot somewhere in this rotation puzzle. Now, here's where it gets really interesting and honestly a bit uncomfortable for some people. The front office has made it known they're willing to listen to offers for Jose Barrios. Yeah, you heard that right. The guy who's been one of the most durable starters in all of baseball over the last several years is suddenly on the table. Since 2018, literally nobody has made more starts or thrown more innings than Barrios. The man is the definition of reliability. You pencil him in, and he takes the ball every 5th day without fail. That kind of durability is incredibly valuable, especially in today's game where pitchers are constantly going down with injuries. So why would Toronto even consider moving him? It comes down to a few factors. First, there's the money. Barrios is owed $24 million in both 2027 and 2028, with potential escalators that could bump that up another couple million based on innings pitched. That's not a small commitment, especially for a pitcher whose strikeout rates have declined and whose walk rates haven't been where they need to be. For teams looking at that contract, it's a significant investment, and not everyone is going to be comfortable taking on that full amount without some kind of financial relief from Toronto. Second, and this is crucial, the Blue Jays now have options they simply didn't have before. Cease gives them a true frontline starter. Povich brings proven success from Korea and the kind of stuff that translates well to MLB. Gausman continues to be steady. Bieber, if healthy, is a former Cy Young winner. Francis showed he belongs. Tiedemann is knocking on the door. When you line all that up, suddenly trading Barrios doesn't look like organizational malpractice. It looks like smart roster management, especially if you can turn them into pieces that address other needs or clear payroll space for future moves. But here's the thing, and this is really important to understand. Even with all this depth, you can never have too many starting pitchers. Ever. We see it every single year. Teams that look loaded in spring training are scrambling for arms by June because injuries always happen. Always. Rotations that look 6 or 7 deep in March are down to 4 healthy starters by the All-Star break. So while Toronto is exploring the market for Barrios, they're not desperate to move him. If the right deal comes along, one that makes sense financially and helps the roster in other areas, then yeah, they'll pull the trigger. But if not, they're perfectly comfortable keeping this depth because they know how valuable it becomes when the inevitable happens. There's also another layer to this. If Toronto does trade Barrios, they're likely going to have to either eat some of that contract or take back another team's problematic deal. That's just how these things work when you're trying to move a significant salary. Maybe Another club has an overpaid position player they're looking to offload, and the Jays can swap issues while addressing different roster needs. These kinds of trades happen all the time, and they require a lot of back and forth negotiation to find the right balance. From a pure baseball standpoint, the question becomes, what does your opening day rotation look like? If I'm building it right now, I'm probably going Cease, Gausman, Bieber, assuming he's healthy, Povich because of the contract commitment, and then you've got a real decision between Berríos and Francis. If Berríos is still here, he's probably getting that 5th spot based on track record alone. But if he's traded, Francis slides right in, and suddenly you've got Rodriguez and Tiedemann as your depth pieces ready to step up the moment someone goes down. The beauty of this situation is that Toronto finally has leverage. For years, they've been one injury away from disaster in the rotation. Now they're in a position where they can actually make proactive moves instead of reactive ones. They can explore trades without feeling desperate. They can let guys compete in spring training knowing they have legitimate backup options. They can be strategic instead of scrambling. So what should the Blue Jays do? Honestly, I think they play it smart. They listen to offers on Berríos, but they don't force anything. If a team comes calling with a package that addresses the lineup or adds prospect depth or clears future payroll flexibility, you absolutely consider it. But if the market isn't there, you keep him. You embrace the depth, and you trust that having 7 or 8 quality starters is going to pay off over a 162-game season when other teams are down to their AAA arms. This is exactly the kind of problem contending teams should have. It's a good problem. It means you have options, flexibility, and insurance against the chaos that defines every baseball season. The front office deserves credit for putting themselves in this position, and now it's about executing the next steps with the same precision. All right, Jays Nation, that's the breakdown. Drop a comment and let me know what you think. Should they trade Berríos or keep the depth? What does your opening day rotation look like? And are you as excited about this pitching staff as I am? Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Jays, go.